Arnold, thank you so much for joining me today for the Breakthrough series. I'm excited to hear your story.
Okay, I'm glad you're here. It's nice to have you in my home.
Thank you, appreciate it. So for anyone that might not know who you are, can you give a little bit of an introduction so that the audience would know?
Yeah, so I'm Arnold Desena. Reason we're talking today, you want to talk about the breakthrough opportunities in my life. I want to go back a little over 20 years. My wife and I are from the East Coast, Connecticut, and she was in the retail industry, and the Schottenstein family offered her an opportunity in retail in her career here in Columbus. So the family made a decision to come out here in support of her career so she could blossom in what she wanted to do. At that time, I was a union construction worker. I was building casinos, hotels, hospitals. And when I got here, I realized I didn't want to do that kind of line of work again. Pretty much it was just rough on the body. And I decided to transition into a different career. And I chose real estate as that path I wanted to go down and spend the rest of my life doing that.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you were transitioning and you moved to Ohio, you had the option of, well, you were already in a successful career. You were doing well for yourself, and now you have to essentially start over.
Yeah.
Now, the question I was wondering is, why not go back to something you already know, like say in Ohio, starting from the same type of career? Why did you choose to go somewhere else, and why was it real estate specifically?
So I loved what I was doing. I mean, on a construction site, it was like a grown man's playground. It was fun to do, but it was rough on the body. Coming out here, I already had the same type of job lined up. Would have been the same pay, everything would have been perfect. But I took a pause and realized if we were making a change with our lives, that maybe I should also consider something else. I recognized that the long plan, retiring out of that industry, is extremely difficult. No one wants to be a 65-year-old construction worker. It's just too much. So I looked at my future and decided it was time to try something a little easier on me and something I could do into my older age. I chose real estate only because when we were out with our realtor during the relocation, I recognized some of the things that realtor wasn't talking about that I felt was important. Things she was unaware of, like the foundation of the building, the structure of the building, the mechanical systems. And I felt that she wasn't talking to me. She was more talking to my wife with the types of things that were important to my wife in selecting a home. So I felt there was a need there that wasn't being filled. So I figured, all the other things she's talking about, I can also research and be proficient at. I would bring a point of difference in being able to use my construction background to help people understand what they're physically buying, not just the pretty part. So I decided to go down that path thinking if she can do this, so can I. And I used that point of difference to help my clients make better decisions.
So you're an opportunist.
Yeah.
So you could do it better.
Yes, so I could do it. She was a great realtor. I don't want to say I was better than her. I just came at it from a different angle.
No, that makes sense.
And it proved to be valuable for my clients.
Yeah. I'm definitely one of those people, like I would prefer to have that more analytical approach when buying a house than like the emotional side, but that's also different people have different needs.
Right. And as a realtor, you have to recognize who needs to hear what, or even how they interpret your information. Some people want to see it, some people want to hear it.
So right then and there, in that time when you're buying a house, you noticed this opportunity that you might want to do this. Is that when you decided that I'm going to go into real estate?
Yeah, that was it. It was pretty simple. Scary decision to make though, because you're going from a well-paying career to $0.
Yeah, so you're in a new city, new career in real estate nonetheless, which is commission-based essentially. What are your next steps? How do you get started? What were you doing?
Wow, there's a lot of next steps. Well, I had to get the education first. So I went to Hondros to become licensed, picked out a local broker, which at the time was HER Realtors, and then just immersed in the training programs that they had. The biggest thing was I needed to know people. So we had moved here into this neighborhood. At the time, it was all new build homes. There were no neighbors I could tap into for business because they had already just built a brand new home. They weren't moving. So I had to figure out, who am I going to find for clients? I didn't have a sphere of influence here.
Yeah.
I didn't have family or friends. So I had to go out and figure out the ways to find the business while not being able to rely upon, a sphere to help me find work.
So how did you do that? Because that's those few things that you didn't have are the things that realtors typically rely on.
Right.
So, and I'm sure there wasn't, I'm not sure at the time there was like online leads or anything like that.
No.
So what did you do?
That came about 8-10 years later. So I'm proud to say I'm a family man, and I dedicate a lot of my time to my wife and my children. And she was traveling, my wife was traveling for business quite extensively at the time. I spent a lot of time with our daughters, getting them off to school, helping them with homework, taking them to events at the school. And I recognized that I could network well at the schools. My daughters were in the Alcott Elementary School. So I started volunteering at the school, doing different projects, and whatever the principal needed. I would, at one point I was tutoring a couple of little guys that had families that they didn't get the attention they needed after school, so I would help there in the school, homework, assignments, getting them ready for tests. So as I started doing things like that, I started meeting other parents, and that was an opportunity for me to get to know people and let them know what I did for a living. And that's slowly how I started to get business.
That's wonderful. Yeah. So you mentioned off camera, when you're obviously starting out a new career with no previous experience in it, you said that you were basically starting from zero income wise. And so
yes.
At the beginning, all you were really thinking about, as you mentioned, was I need to make money to pay the bills.
Yes.
Now, what lesson did you learn from that was impactful for your career?
That was a humbling lesson. So I think my first year I may have made $9,000 in commission. Not enough to be proud of, to put food on the table either. The problem, what I recognized after about a year, was I was thinking about the money. And rightly so, we had bills to pay. And while I was thinking about money, I think it came across to the clients that I was focused on the paycheck, and maybe not as focused on them as I needed to be. I learned that, and I realized I should stop thinking about money. And I did. I completely forgot about how much money I need to make or what I may potentially make. And I just focused on the client's needs. And when I started pouring myself into their needs and listening to them and not thinking, how much commission would I make off this house if I sold it, which a lot of realtors do think about that. When I just focused on the client, I learned that's when they started opening up more to me and giving me more opportunities through their friends. So once I focused on the client, the money started to roll in. So the lesson there was,
take care of them first, and they'll take care of you.
Exactly. And I mean, at this point, 95% of all the business I do is referral based, which is a testament to the hard work I put into the people.
So what recommendation would you give to some, let's say a new agent, right, that's starting out, and they would be in a similar situation where you were starting out? What would you recommend to them so that they could jumpstart their career?
Yeah, they should hear that. So number one, I'd say know your paperwork, know the contracts, understand the legality of what you're doing, because you're helping people make strong financial decisions. They're not just buying a house. This is an investment. You need to know the documents, the legal paperwork, be proficient in that. But then I would also tell them to focus on the people, listen to them. I ask some crucial questions. A lot of us realtors ask the same questions though. I ask them, how do you see yourself living in this home? Do you think this is your forever home? Do you think you're going to have an active lifestyle, or will you be sedentary and be home most of the time? I'm trying to understand what their lives are like so that maybe I can help them understand maybe different communities they should consider. I would tell them to network all the time. If you're out at a party, network. If you're out to dinner, network. Just get to know people. Let everyone know you are a realtor in a subtle way. Not, here's my card, nice to meet you, I could be your realtor. But just bring it up and let them know this is what you do, and they will come to you. So don't be the best kept secret.
No, that's awesome. So as you're kind of moving through your career, you're achieving success. And for anyone that might not know, you went and had an accident, or you were a part of an accident that changed your life. Now, I actually just found out today that you were still working in real estate, which I think is a testament not only to the fact that you love what you do, but also the fact that your mindset is unbreakable. Could you share a little bit about like what motivates you today to keep moving forward and to serve your clients, but also just your family as well?
What motivates me today? Well, we all need an income to start with. That's always the big deal. When I took some time away from the business to work on my recovery from my injuries, I realized how much I missed being with people every day. The beautiful thing about this career is you meet people from all different walks of life, different education, different economical backgrounds. So every day you're talking to new people and you're building a friendship. The people I get to work with are amazing, you know, from first-time home buyers to people downsizing. And in the journey that you are with them, you get to understand their lives. The cool thing is you realize how much you have in common is more prevalent than what you don't have in common with people. So the drive for me was to stay active, to stay relevant, to stay alive. When it came to how it impacts my family, it was important that my daughters know that even though Dad's now in a wheelchair, he can still get past this adversity and still have a thriving life. So that was part of my initial motivation, was to prove to my daughters that even when tragedy strikes, you can get back on your feet and move forward and still make a difference. And the idea, the cliche is I love helping people. You hear that a lot from realtors. It really is true for most of us. We are the most giving people I can think of in an industry, by giving ourselves to others, putting others ahead of ourselves. You put yourself in a place in life where you learn to serve people before you serve yourself, and you have a life full of abundance.
What would you say to a person, because I think especially after your accident, you learned a lot of important life lessons, and I was talking with you on the phone. What would you say to a person that makes their life revolve around making money? Because in real estate specifically, there's unlimited earning potential, essentially. Correct. Which could easily get to anybody and make it their life purpose, whether they realize it or not. What would you say to a person like that? Because they're spending their years chasing money, which to some people might not be anything. There might be anything wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
But from your perspective, what would you say to that person? What advice would you give them to consider about?
Money doesn't make you wealthy. Money doesn't make you rich. You just have a lot of money. When you only focus on the money, you miss out on the real riches of life. And for me, it's interpersonal relationships with other people. It's growing. If you focus only on money, you waste opportunities of living life. You're making a living, but you're not living. Money's not everything. We hit a point, my wife and I I was hospitalized for over 8 months. My wife's main focus then was being in the hospital with me every day. We went nearly 2 years without a paycheck. And we still had the house. We still paid the bills. A daughter went to college. Another daughter got married. Money was helpful to take care of all those things, but in the process, so much good has come out of that time where we learned more about who was important in our lives and what was important. The other thing is I grew closer to God from this accident. I got to a point where I had no idea when the next paycheck would come or how we're going to put food on the table. And I, in the hospital, I laid there and said, God, I'm leaving this up to you because I can't figure this out. And I trust whatever comes our way, that's what you think is best for us. And literally, that was the biggest relief off my shoulders, was leave it up to him. He'll take care of me in the way he thinks is best. And it worked. I didn't have to worry anymore. And little by little, abundance started to show itself in the form of friendships with people. People helped take care of things for us. And then finally I got back moving, and now I get to pay back what good people did for me. So you could focus on the money. That's wonderful. It allows you to go do fun things. But you'll never see the real riches in life if you only go for money.
I think based off what you said, it reminds me of a lesson that actually is in the Bible as well. A lot of people value in like self-dependence, that they're self-sufficient, which is a very valuable thing. But the Bible also talks about how you're blessed if you're able to rely on God. And even in this situation where you're able to be interdependent with other people, your friends, you're not just self-sufficient. There's a certain blessedness that comes with that.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of something you were touching on.
Yeah. I learned even before my accident that together, you and I are each other's greatest resource. We're really not doing anything on our own. We may be the driving force behind something, like you started a company, but you can only be so successful before you realize you need help from others to grow your business. So if we back up and realize that first, you build the relationships, you build your team, and you support them, and you love them, and you prop them up. Those people will help you have a much higher level of financial success. You can only make so much on your own before you need help. So if you recognize that's a key component, focus on that all the time and watch money just pour into your life.
So kind of looking forward, what's in store for Arnold? What are you looking forward to, or what are your goals? What could you share about your upcoming future that you're excited about?
So it goes back to my roots, spending more time with my family. I'm focused now in life on making memories, where our business is, nights and weekends, you're gone. And that's when your family and your friends are available. So now I'm in a place where I recognize it's more important to be with friends and family. Take advantage of, even if you're with them for an hour, be focused, be there. Don't be on your phone checking the scores. Be there when you're with people. I want to focus more time on being someplace warmer, someplace slower, someplace quieter, and bringing the people that I love together with me to enjoy life and not focus on the rat race.
That's wonderful. And I think that's very important to hear, in contrast with a lot of times we're so busy, so distracted with even just being on social media, the news, attention is so fragmented that it's hard to be intentional in the moment and actually enjoy the moment. Because what's the point of living through life achieving so much when you don't even remember most of what happened?
And to be quite honest with you, I mean, my life changed in the amount of time it took for a woman to take a bite of an apple. That accident caused me to be in a wheelchair. Didn't matter if I had millions in the bank or $2 in the bank. Life was over at that point in the blink of an eye. So why waste how many blinks of an eye in a day focused on something foolish when you have someone with you to focus on? That's the real wealth in life, the relationships I have with people. So my goal, I was just telling my brother about this the other day, is more about building more memories now as many as I can till we're gone, and enjoy this life. You make money along the way, that's beautiful. You know, we'll take it. But it's the other things that are more important.
Yeah. Awesome. I would really appreciate your wisdom, Arnold. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for considering this wisdom.
Well, it is, and I appreciate you sharing it, and I hope that the viewers as well were able to learn some valuable lessons for themselves.
I hope some good comes from everything we do.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.